You drive your man wild with your kiss? How do you create a deeper connection? How do you attract your man more through your kiss? That's what we're going to be talking about today. Hello, my name is Matthew Coast, and welcome to my channel. If you're ready to drive your man wild with your kiss, type yes into the chat and let's get started. So, Number one, the first thing, there's 7 of these things. Number one is you want to let it build momentum. So I want you to think of kissing almost like a roller coaster ride. Maybe there's a kind of a slower start. And a lot of times you want it to be a slower start because you're building kind of this anticipation, or you're allowing it to get heavy and strong. I mean, sometimes it's really cool when you see each other and you just run up and it's like, and you're just like kissing all over really, really quickly. But it can also be really powerful to let it build, because you build that kind of anticipation. You start getting a rhythm, right? Just like a roller coaster ride, there's ups and downs, and there's kind of this faster and slower kind of movement that can happen with it. And what you want is to build, like, it's really powerful to build that momentum, because when it goes from something slower to something that's deeper and more passionate, and then, maybe a little bit more conscious or whatever, it can be really, really, really a big turn on for you and your man. So that's number one. So number two thing that you want to do with your kissing is actually, while you're kissing him, you want to touch his vulnerable areas. And so men will, it's like you pierce their veil of protection, right? Men kind of have these places on themselves, and they kind of feel like it's this almost like this armor, right? They're walking around, just think of them as like having this armor around, and they're walking around, they have this protection, and you're kind of like going underneath the armor and touching those vulnerable parts of himself. And so what are these vulnerable parts? One is maybe his chest, right? Like just touching him right here on his chest, or maybe his ribs. His ribs are a really vulnerable part of him. His neck, touching his neck, anytime you can touch his neck, or his bicep, touching kind of like the inner part of his arm right there where his bicep is. Those can be really powerful, because it actually tells him something about you and your relationship together that you're not going to be able to say through words as easily. And what it is you're telling him that he's safe. You're telling him that he's safe around you, which is a really powerful thing, especially if you want a man to feel like he wants to allow himself to fall in love with you and share more vulnerable things with you in the future. You want him to get that feeling, go deeper than the logic and go deep into that feeling, making him feel like he's safe around you. And it's actually showing him that you can be vulnerable together by just connecting with his vulnerable parts. And you're not going to hurt him. You're not going to do any of that kind of stuff. You can just connect with him in that way. And that can be a really powerful thing to do when you're kissing. So number three thing that you want to do is whisper dirty things in his ear. And so you can do this. You can actually do this beforehand. You can do it during. You can do it after. This is a really fun and playful and powerful thing that you can do at any time. So what you want to do is, maybe you guys have been kissing. You've all been kissing up on each other, right? And maybe you take a break and kind of go over and just get close to his ear. And this is a really great way to do it, is get close to his ear and then take a breath. Take a breath first. And we're going to talk about why you want to do that here in just a second. But take a breath first and then breathe out, and then whisper something into his ear, something dirty into his ear. Just get real close and say, "I like Egg McMuffins." Okay, maybe you don't want to say that, But you can say things like, you turn me on so much right now, or you're so hot right now, or just anything, right? Maybe even more X-rated stuff that we can't really say here on YouTube if I don't want to get demonetized. But yeah, just whisper dirty things into his ear. It can be real. I mean, it can be a huge turn on. Even doing that beforehand can be a really huge turn on for him and make him kind of get into his primal brain, right? That primal part of himself where he stops thinking and it's just like this, oh, I want to like eat this girl up and I want to be all over her and it's so amazing, right? That's the primal part of him, and you want to ignite that primal drive inside of him that makes him just want to, just connect with you in that way. And then number four is lightly pulling his hair. This can be incredibly erotic and exciting and fun and a huge turn on to a guy. Think about this, right? And maybe this isn't the best example, but this is the closest thing that I could think of, which is like picking up a cat by the scruff of his neck. I don't know if you've ever done that before, but a cat kind of like goes into this mode, when you do that. And a lot of guys will kind of just go into that mode as well, especially if his love language is physical touch. Lots of guys really love that, where you just like, you can just touch his hair or touch the back of his scalp, right? Or maybe just pull his hair really, really lightly. It can be a real huge turn on, make him feel really comfortable, make him feel really warm, make him feel just really connected to you in a way that talking doesn't really do. You don't want to go like totally crazy on this and like start pulling his hair really hard unless he's into that kind of thing, which some guys I'm sure are. But you want to do it lightly. You want to do it lightly, and just you can use your fingernails actually just to like, go around, his head just a little bit. And you want to do it lightly and you want to do it slowly, and just do it to whatever extent that you can tell. And you can usually gauge things with most guys when you're kissing them on how is he reacting? What is he doing to what it is that you're doing? And if he's not having any reaction, we'll talk about how to figure out whether he liked it or not here in just a minute. So number five is you want to tease him. So the infamous teasing, I talk a lot about this stuff because teasing is one of the most important things that you can do in a relationship, before a relationship, during a relationship. If you've been in a relationship long term, if you want to keep that passion and excitement alive, this is one of the best ways that you can do it. It's a term that I talk about called push and pull, which is a really important concept to know about. You don't want to go overboard on it again. Remember, the magic is always in the middle. But you want to just go in, right? And you can actually do this before you even kiss them, where you kind of look at them and there's a bunch of different things that happen when you're kissing and before you're kissing. And you can tell a guy that you want to kiss him before you even kiss him, or before he even kisses you, with just your looks. And what you do is you look down at his lips, and then you look up at his eye, and then you look at his other eye, and then you look back down at his lips. Anytime you're looking at his lips, when you're talking to him or he's talking to you, it sends him a signal, a subconscious signal to his brain that's triggering, that's going, I want to kiss her. She wants to kiss me. We're in this kissing kind of anticipation moment. And so that can be a really powerful thing to do. And another thing that you can do is just get close to them, just get really close, because we all have kind of this personal space and these personal boundaries, and it's different for every person, and it's actually different in different cultures. And so what you want to do is break through that personal bubble, break through that personal space that he has, and get closer to him than somebody normally would with your face. And you don't have to do anything with your lips or anything. You just get really close to him. And then you can do that thing where you look down at his lips and look up at his eyes. And that can be a really powerful signal to him. And then you just kind of pull back, and then you can kind of do it again. And then you can incorporate what we were talking about earlier with the dirty talk to his ear, and kind of breathing in his ear and all that kind of stuff. And it can be a really, really powerful thing for you to do. Number six is smell his neck. And so this is a deep primal thing that probably comes from a long time of evolution, all that kind of stuff. If you look at lizards, yes, I'm talking about lizards in a kissing video. If you look at lizards, they actually do this. And most of us don't know that they're doing this, but what lizards do is they actually smell stuff with their tongues. And so they'll send their tongue out and they're like whipping their tongue around, and their tongue is actually smelling things that are going on around them. That's one of the ways that lizards kind of figure out what's going on, and they kind of taste it, and that's kind of their smell. And if you see two lizards that come up and start like interacting with each other, they'll like lick each other, and it's kind of this thing where they're, it's like this primal like mating ritual thing that they do. And so one of the things that you can do with a guy is actually just breathe on him, especially on his neck, like right here on his neck, up next to his ear. And so what you want to do is, if you're like taking a break from kissing, or maybe this is beforehand or something like that, you just get close to his neck, just get close up to his neck right here, and just take a breath. And what you want to do is breathe with your nose, and just breathe in and then breathe out. And you can even like have it go up and down, just have the air that's coming out go up and down on his neck. And it can be a huge turn on for a guy, just huge turn on. Really, really powerful. So near or under his ear, around his neck, all that kind of stuff. This is a biological response that most people aren't even aware that this happens and that you can do this, but it can be a really, really powerful biological response that turns a guy on and kind of switches things over with him. And it can send shivers down his spine when he does it. And so it's a really, really powerful thing. And so you should try that one. And then number seven, the last one that we're going to be talking about here, is letting him do all the work. So this is really good if you have a dominant masculine man who really wants to take charge of things. And sometimes a lot of women will come in and they'll try to take charge of the situation there with all the kissing and stuff. And especially if he's a dominant masculine man, you want him to start doing that. Or if you want to encourage him to be a dominant masculine man, then you want to let him kind of take control and take charge of the whole kissing thing and make him do all the work, take control, feel like he's in charge, you sweep you away, all that kind of stuff. You want to do this because he's the kind of the masculine force there. And that's a huge turn on for masculine men, is them being in charge and them doing everything and them feeling like they've got you under their control kind of. And it can be a really kind of a primal, deep, powerful turn on for a lot of guys. And so ultimately what this boils down to is you want to test for what he likes. So I can give you a whole bunch of different things. I actually have another video about specifically how to kiss with your lips and all that kind of stuff, if you're interested in that. And basically all men are different though. And so you want to figure out what's going on with him and respond to him. Just respond to how he is. And you can even ask him. That's what we were talking about before, is just ask him what he likes and what he doesn't like, and actually find out what's going on with him instead of trying to just look for clues and all that kind of stuff. It can be really, really powerful. Okay, so let's go back over the 7 real quick here. We have number 1 is let it build momentum. So think about it like a roller coaster ride. Like starts off kind of slow, but then kind of gets faster and slower and faster and slower. It can be really, really powerful. Number 2 is you want to touch his vulnerable areas. Number 3, whisper dirty things into his ear. Number 4, lightly pull his hair, touch his scalp, use your nails. That kind of stuff can be really hot. Number 5 is tease him, push-pull concept, kind of get close, pull away, get close, pull away, you know, do the look at his lips and his eyes type of a thing. Number 6 is smell his neck, kind of like a lizard. Do the lizard, right? And smell his neck. Maybe not lick his neck. Maybe lick his neck. I don't know. Depends on what you guys are into. Number 7 is let him do all the work, especially if he is a dominant man. All right.